Welcome back to the Bluechip Breakdown, Vols fans. Happy Father's Day to everybody. In today's video, we're going to be recapping everything that we've learned from the big official visit weekend. And, we've heard from the insiders. We got to hear some from the players as well. I'll kind of give you my thoughts off of everything that we've put together. And we will be starting off with the players that we heard the most about from the insiders. Please, as always, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. All right, so starting off with David Sanders, the biggest buzz has been about his name being misspelled at the dinner table. But to me, the bigger thing was that he's eating 3 steaks. I think that he might have had a lobster as well. So they're eating good up there on that visit. It sounds like things went very, very well for him, according to the insiders. And we got to hear G-Mac speak after all of the OVs, and he almost slipped up and said that he can't wait for David Sanders to commit. At least that's what I think that he was getting at. And Austin Price had to kind of help him out and fix everything right there. So I think that we're definitely trending in the right direction for him. He's going to have at least one more official visit. I think it's going to be 2. So I'm thinking Alabama and then Ohio State. And after that, I mean, we'll see how quickly a decision will come for him. But I mean, I feel really, really good about David Sanders. And that's huge news for us as Volunteer fans. The next player is going to be Isaiah Gibson. He's a 5-star defensive lineman. No one really knew where he was going to go because he's committed to USC, but we've heard a lot of buzz around Georgia here lately. We've heard some buzz about Alabama too, and a few other places, but everything sounds like it's trending in Tennessee's direction. It sounds like if there's any team that is going to flip him from USC, it's going to be us. So that's going to be huge. He's a really good player. We talked about him some yesterday. I've talked about him maybe over the past 3 or 4 days straight, but he can play defensive tackle for us at an extremely high level, could end up being one of the all-time greats, I think. He's just got that makeup to him. But he could also play at a strong side defensive end too. So I really wouldn't be surprised if he ends up naming Tennessee as his leader in like the next week or two. The next player is going to be Damian Shanklin, and it sounds like the Vols moved the needle with him. He's a 4-star defensive end. I love his film. I love his game as a whole. And he said that he had a really nice time up in Knoxville. He said he saw some things at Tennessee that you don't see at other schools. He also said he loves the culture, loves the fan base, and the family environment. This is going to be a very common theme for all these players. And he said that he's looking for support, development, and he wants to feel at home and have a brotherhood, and his decision is coming in late August. Seems like Tennessee checked off all those boxes for him. Next player is going to be Jaden Perlotta. We talked a whole lot about him lately because we know him personally, and it sounds like, according to the experts, that he had a great time, probably the most fun out of any recruit that was on campus this weekend. I think he's trending very heavy for our Vols, and I keep on saying it, and I'm going to keep on saying it until it happens. Would not be surprised if he pulls the trigger here sometime soon. And I can tell you this from, kind of like knowing him personally, that he's a really good kid, right? Like, he's not one of those goofy kids, but he does smile a lot. But I have never seen him look happier than I saw him on this visit. His dad was sending me pictures and stuff. And he just really looked like he was enjoying his time up there. And if I went on ahead and looked at some of his pictures or really all of his pictures on his other visits, did not see the same type of happiness, didn't see that same smile on his face. So that would be a gigantic pickup for us. And I'm hoping that we can close the deal. Probably going to have at least one more visit before things close up. But again, y'all, do not be surprised if he does commit to our Volunteers. The next player is going to be 4-star tight end Deson Brame. Sounds like the Vols made a really big move with him. He talked a lot with the staff, and the staff said, hey, man, we will use you like Albert O back at Missouri whenever Coach Heupel was there. And I kind of watched this film some because I don't too much remember him playing. But yeah, I can most definitely see that he's a guy that you can tell could kind of be that inline blocker, but he can also go out for those passes. He does a really good job of getting open inside of our scheme, right? Like, I mean, on those bender routes, on those seams, and just in a whole lot of different areas. But I could see the son doing that with us for sure. Right now, it's going to be between us and Oklahoma. We'll see what happens here in the next couple of weeks. The next player is going to be Shakai Mills-Knight. And it sounds like the Vols had a very strong weekend with him. He said that he enjoyed bonding with the players and recruits. He says that he loves the offense and the fan base. And, he talks about, hey, this is a school that's potentially going to be winning a national championship coming up here soon. So you love to hear that. He really likes Coach Sims as well. And he said that Coach Heupel is very genuine with his players. And, all the players have been saying really good things about him. This will be another very common theme that we'll be hearing, throughout the rest of this video. So we'll see what happens right here with Shakai Mills-Knight. For me, I kind of feel like we're still in a battle with somebody. If it's Miami, I don't know. It could be Ole Miss. I think that he has Ole Miss coming up next weekend, but somebody's still there. I can just kind of feel that with him. I don't know him personally, but it's kind of gauging off of the way that he's answering these questions. It does sound like he loves Tennessee, but maybe he's not 100% sold on us just yet. So the next player is going to be Tim Merritt. He's a 3 or 4-star cornerback or safety, depending on the site that you're looking at. He's very versatile, and I love his film. I think that he could add a lot to our secondary. He's been trending to our Vols for a long time, but he did commit to Miami like a week or two ago. So it's big that he decided to come back to Tennessee for an OV and give us another chance. I think we're in a really good spot right here. He talked about he's still considering us because of the family environment. And he said that, he counted 17 players that he talked to that's already a part of the team. And I found that very interesting that he did kind of account for that number of 17 players. Let you know how serious he's taking this whole process. But he said that all those players said that the coaches on the staff treat them like their own kids. That's huge. And it can't be understated with him coming from out of state, right? It's not, a very long distance. And he said the distance isn't a big problem for him. But even still, like, you're going off to school, you're going to be away from your family. So it's big to have that family feel. I think that means a lot to him, even if he didn't really, say as much about it. And he's talking about potentially committing maybe at some point in the season, maybe even after the season. He'd say that it could go all the way up to signing day. And he also says that money is not an object, which kind of, makes me think that he decided to commit to Miami just because they were offering him more money. And I don't know if Tennessee came back and counter offered or what, but either way, I think that if he wants to come to Tennessee, if he really wants to play here, that's a decision he's going to have to make pretty soon because our spots are about to start running out. I'm telling y'all right now. So we're going through this whole list. A whole lot of folks want to come to Tennessee. And for the ones that want to kind of wait things out, if they're a little bit higher up on our board and we will save a spot for them, I think that Tennessee's going to do such a good job in the regular season and playing that whoever is left on our board, we're definitely going to be getting if they're, kind of trending towards us anyway. So if I'm Tim Merritt, I'm going to be trying to pull that trigger as quickly as possible. And the next player is going to be Zion Grady. He's a 4-star defensive end. Heard a whole lot about, man, he could be trending to Alabama. He was committed to Alabama. Heard about Miami, some other places. But it sounds like Tennessee made a pretty good push with him. He says that it's the best visit that he's been on so far. I believe that came from Steve Wilfong. And he also says that the people up in Knoxville excite him. And he is, he feels like he's part of the family there. So those are some pretty big things for sure. The next player is going to be 5-star wide receiver Caleb Cunningham. And we kind of speculated on, how is this visit going to go? Because he's gone to several other schools and he's pretty much naming everyone that he goes and sees his new leader after those visits. I will say this, he didn't name Tennessee as his new leader, but he did put us in his top 3 along with the other 2 visits that he's already been on. So how much of that is real, I'm not quite sure. He did say that he's definitely not going to be staying in state, but then he went on to say that he will be giving Ole Miss and Mississippi State an official visit. So I don't really know what to believe here. But some of the things he did say coming out his visit is that, he wants to go to a place where he likes the people. And he said that he loves the people and the atmosphere in Knoxville. Again, we're top 3. He's planning on probably going throughout the entire season before he decides on where he's going. He will be one of the players that I was just talking about. If we want to save a spot for a big-time wide receiver, he would probably be one of them. And I think that he would probably want to come to Tennessee as the season wears on. So we'll see how things play out with Caleb Cunningham. I would say that right now, top 3, but I would say that it's probably still a little bit of a long shot that we will land him, especially because he's got a lot more visits coming up for the next foreseeable future. And the next player that we heard speak was Jacoby Ward. And he said that he loved his visit. He was told that he could be a day 1 starter by our staff as an interior offensive lineman. I believe he's a 3-star with on 3. And he's planning on committing on July the 4th. The next visit that he's going to be taking is to LSU. And I said before that I feel like Auburn and LSU are probably the teams for us to beat. And I really don't even know. I mean, he probably is a take, but I don't know, like, what happens if we get some other guys to kind of, pull the trigger before he does. Is he still going to be a take? Or, if they feel like, or if we feel like those other players that might be higher up on the board are trending to Tennessee, I mean, do we say, hey, look, like, we don't have a spot for you at this point, but, give us a couple of weeks? I don't know, right? Like, I think he's a really good player. I just don't know realistically how high up he actually is on Tennessee's board. And that's all pure speculation on my part. Just for me personally, there's a couple of other offensive linemen that I like a little bit more. I would probably take before him. But again, it's not to say that he's a bad player. We'll see what happens with him over, probably the next couple of weeks, right? He said he's committing on July the 4th. And the next player is going to be 5-star wide receiver Jamie French. A lot of Vol fans really like Jamie French. I don't know if it's just because he's a 5-star, if it's because he's trending everywhere and you hear about him all the time. I like him a lot. And I'll say this, I wasn't too sold on the fact that we should have brought him up for an OV because, like P said yesterday, you kind of felt like he's wasting your time. But a couple of things that he said, coming out of this visit that made me think Tennessee is in a really good spot. So based off what he did say, Tennessee is in the top 3. He's named us as his top 3 before, but we really were outside of the top 3. So how realistic is that at this point? We will see. He's planning on committing August the 3rd. That's his mom's birthday, so that's going to be, a very important day for him. Obviously, mom always plays a really big part in where he goes. No idea what school she likes the most. Maybe she just wants, whatever he wants. And if that's the case, maybe Tennessee's in a good spot. We're getting to the good stuff right here, though. So, he said he's going to be coming back in July, and that's going to be his last visit before he does make his decision. I think that's really big. I think that's really, really big because he's been very close with a guy like David Sanders and with GMAC. I think him and GMAC might be even closer than he is with David Sanders. And we think that GMAC, well, we already know that GMAC is coming to Tennessee, but David Sanders is probably coming as well. So I think that he's kind of starting to realize some things. He's starting to kind of see it. I don't remember if it was him or if that was Caleb Cunningham. I think it might have been Caleb Cunningham that said that he was sitting up top, up there, on the top row in kneeling, and he's just looking at the field, looking at the stadium with GMAC. GMAC is like, man, just think about how, the stadium's going to be whenever I throw you a touchdown pass and the crowd's going crazy. I think that GMAC's doing a great job of recruiting for us. But anyway, I think, man, just in hearing that, if, Jamie French is going to be giving us his final visit before he commits, we're in a much better spot than I thought. I realistically feel like we are actually this time in his top 3, but we'll see what happens over the next week or two. Things could most definitely change with these young men. And the next player that I want to talk about is going to be Osmane Chroma, the 4-star running back from Lee County, and I've been gushing over him here since I've watched this film. He said that he had a lot of fun going tubing. He felt like all his questions got answered, and he said that we are in his top 4. And he also said he's planning on making a decision either during or after the season. He's another one that if he wants to be a part of this team, he's going to have to make that decision a little bit earlier. But again, y'all, I'm just speculating. I don't know if the staff's going to hold a spot for him or not. I love his film. I might try to hold a spot out for him, especially if we don't have another running back commit. But, we'll see how things go with him over the next couple of weeks. But I'm just very happy that we are in his top 4 for sure. And the next player is going to be Abdul Sanders. That's the 4-star Alabama linebacker commit. He's a really, really good one. P and I have talked about how just polished he is. It looks like he's a very seasoned veteran. But I think he likes to see a lot as well. He's not one that the insiders kind of talked about and said, man, look, we've got a really good shot with him. But just in listening to him talk, I think that we do. So he said that he was surprised on his first visit by the stadium, by the school, and the overall environment up there in Knoxville. He said that he loved it. He said he's looking for a school to go the extra step, like having a family feel and things outside of football, which it seems like Tennessee showed him very much based off of what he said. He said that the family vibe stands out to him. And he said that he has an Alabama official visit next week, and he will be deciding after that. He's going to be announcing over the summer. So the biggest question is, if we get Jaden Perlotte, are we also going to take Abdul Sanders? I think that you do. I mean, why not, right? Like, let's go ahead and just get 2 in this class, especially because Jaden is a guy that's so versatile that you can move him around. If you bring in another linebacker in this class, you give him more freedom to move around. So I think that would be a good look for us all together. Last player is going to be Charles House. This is a really, really big one. And actually, I probably should have put him up a little bit higher on this one. But, he's a guy that I think is hopefully still trending to Tennessee. He said that right now it's between us and UGA. He said he feels at home at Tennessee. That's the first thing that he said. He said it's going to be a very, very hard decision for him. And, I could definitely see why, just because, he's looking at that depth chart. And some people might think, well, if he's going to be playing defensive tackle, Tennessee's got a much better depth chart than UGA does. But Tennessee actually this season, for sure anyway, is a lot deeper at the defensive tackle position than UGA is. Even though they've got some good players, they're just not as deep because they have not been developing their players the way that we have. And I think that Charles House, at the end of the day, sees that, recognizes it. Man, look, Coach G is the best defensive line coach on the face of this planet, especially, college-wise anyway. So, why not come here? And I also think that if you kind of look more towards the future, you say, okay, Tennessee's got some good guys that are coming in, but there really is a good chance that I'm going to get rotated in. We rotate our guys way more than Georgia does as well. So if he's looking at depth chart, it means that he wants to play early. At least that's the way that I would be looking at it. So I think that Tennessee is in a really good spot right here. And just to kind of recap everything, looking at all these visitors and just hearing the way that things have been trending for all these players, I think that Tennessee is back in play for the top 5. It really all depends on what happens over these next couple of weeks, because people come off of those visit highs and you just don't really know until things kind of simmer down, settle down. You got to sit down with your family and say, all right, look, this is, kind of like write things down. These are the pros and the cons of each school. But a lot of decisions are going to be coming, y'all, over the next couple of weeks. I feel great about our chances. I think that Tennessee could end up having 4, if everything goes well, maybe even 5 stars at the end of this whole thing. Okay, that's if everything goes perfectly. But I definitely see us getting back up into that top 5 and potentially into the top 3. But that's going to be it for this video. Let me know y'all's thoughts down in the comment section, because I would love to know if y'all have any more inside information opposed to what we have on here today. And what do you think about these players? Who would be the one that you would want to land if you could only choose one? I would love to see that down in the comment section. But as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. Y'all have a great Father's Day. We'll see y'all in the next one. Thanks. Peace.